Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday morning Cultivating Mindfulness Sangha's regular morning meeting. We are recording this on Thursday morning because when we recorded yesterday, it was my first live production, and we made a lot of mistakes. We were holding the camera wrong, and we were having problems with internet reception, and much of what occurred in here in this building did not get recorded or did not get taped. And so I want to make sure that we have a copy of the entire meeting. So if you already saw the meeting and you're okay with it, that's fine, but this is one way that satisfies me that I put a product out there that is better for you to be able to use. And so I want to welcome you. We're meeting here because of the current situation with the coronavirus. I wish you were here with me, and I wish I was there with you. But this is the way it is. And so I want to start out with some words that I read recently, written by John Pavlovitz in an article on Saturday, March 21. And it deals a lot with what's going on and the way that we're having to meet, but I like it because it ends with this glimmer of hope, which is the way I feel at this very moment. These are his words. I know how much the isolation is wearing on you, the way the lack of human contact magnifies the distance, how much you miss embracing those you love. How much more difficult this all is because you feel like you're weathering it alone. You're not alone. You're not, my friends. I want you to know that every single human being who calls this place home is facing something they've never faced before. Every one of us is fighting back the encroaching fears and tapping into their deepest reserves and trying to adjust and wait, and help, and fix, and to make sense of all this senselessness. It may not solve any of the real or imagined terrors you're contending with, but there is strength in the solidarity of this sadness. There is comfort to be found in the affinity we feel right now. There is encouragement waiting in our shared sorrow. The separation we feel is only a myth because, though we are physically apart right now, we are together in this terrifying moment. I also know who we are. I know what we're made of. I know our disparate, glorious beauty that is rising up in these hours. I know that people of faith, morality, conscience, and goodness will always transcend the dire circumstances in which they find themselves. I know that we can appeal to our better nature right now, that we outgive and outshare and outlove this unthinkable nightmare, that we will reach into a deeper place of humanity, and that we will unearth something glorious. If we stay connected to one another and we let compassion lead us now, one day we will soon wake in the morning to a different world than the one in which we closed our eyes. It will not be this terrible day. We will breathe and embrace and laugh and dream and do all the things that right now we fear we will never do again. Yes, be afraid, but be greatly encouraged. The radiant dawn of this terrifying night is coming. So hold on. And all of that brings us to why we're here in this place. This is my meditation shed. This is my, what I call affectionately, my med shed. I come here because this is a sacred place to me, even though I consider every inch of earth sacred. This is my sacred place where I can come and do the inner work that involves my spiritual development. This is where I come to meditate. This is where I come to pray. This is where I come to read inspirational literature. This is where I come to practice reverence, to practice being in awe of all that is around me, so that when I take it into my head and heart in this sacred place, I can go out into the sacred world and take it from heart and head and put it into my hands and put it into practice. So that's why we're here. Another thing you'll notice if you look at the altar is that I practice more than one tradition. I've been in many Buddhist temples, and there aren't any that I can ever recall seeing a statue of Jesus or crosses or angels or even a sitting frog. And I've been in even more churches, and I can pretty much say that I've never seen in a church on an altar a statue of Buddha until I became a member of the church to which I now attend. In fact, it was through my current church that I was introduced to mindfulness, to Buddhist practice, and I find that it really interacts very well with my Buddhism. Take a look at my hands. This hand can represent my Buddhism, and this hand can represent my Christianity, but I don't see them as separate parts of my spiritual practice because they meld together so well. I want to read a passage written by a brother. His name is Brother ChiSing in his 108 Reflections for the Daily Practice of Mindfulness and Meditation. When he was alive, he was a member of the Awakening Heart Sangha at the Dallas Meditation Center. And he practiced two traditions, and his two traditions happen to be the same as mine, Christianity and Buddhism. These words can say better than any words that I can say what I feel about this. He says, there are many wise spiritual teachers, each meeting different people's needs. We are all at different levels of consciousness and spiritual evolution, so there is a place for all of them. We can appreciate all the teachers, but have to have a deep spiritual experience if we want to focus on a specific tradition. If we stay at a theoretical level, which is what I did for most of my life, without practice, we miss the heart of a tradition. To experience true spirituality, we must go deeper. In the past, people chose only one tradition, and that was enough. However, in a global world, as cultural awareness grows, we are ready to expand our spiritual wisdom by practicing two traditions. We have two eyes working together to cancel out the other's blind spots, and this is a very good metaphor for what I'm talking about. If we can deeply experience two traditions together, they will expand our consciousness and awareness of the truth in both traditions. And I have found that to be true. Let's just say I close one of my eyes, and I can see and function just beautifully out of that. It's a little bit more difficult, and my periphery expands from here to here. When I close my other eye, I see a little bit of the same that I saw with the other, but it expands over to here. When I look with both of my eyes, the expanse of my periphery of vision is much, much greater than it is with just one. And so it is with my practice in my spiritual practice and my Buddhist and Christian practice. I could live with Buddhism alone, and I could live with Christianity alone, and I would be able to function beautifully in this world. But the fact that I practice two traditions, one enhances the other, and the other enhances the one. And my spirituality becomes so much deeper, so much more meaningful, and I understand so much better my spiritual situation. Brother ChiSing goes on to say, my personal attraction is to Jesus and Buddha. Therefore, I have chosen Christianity and Buddhism as my two main traditions. Each person's spiritual needs will vary. There are many different ways to experience 2 points of view. Experiencing 2 traditions will deepen your spiritual understanding. And that is the case with me. My spiritual understanding is so much different right now than it was 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 40 years ago, or even 60 years ago. I am growing in my spirituality much as I am growing in my body. If my body were to stop growing, we would think that something was wrong and we would try to fix it. And if I'm not growing spiritually and mentally, something is wrong then. And so the fact that my mind has changed over a period of time is not that I'm waffling between traditions. It just shows that I'm growing in my spiritual practice. And I like to think of it in that way. So we're going to begin today with a
power on.
A chant.
Bluetooth pairing.
It's called a morning chant, and it is in the spirit of the tradition of Plum Village. And as we play this chant, we will see how it naturally brings us into our period of silent meditation. It won't be silent because I don't think silence goes over well on the live stream, so I will guide you. Also, I may have someone out there in the audience who is listening to this who has never meditated before and really doesn't know what to do in order to be silent, or that it's even about silence at all. So we will start with the chant, and then we will go right into our silent meditation. So find yourself in a comfortable position, and once you're in that comfortable position, make sure your spine is erect but not stiff, not contrived. Try to relax your shoulders. Try to relax the muscles in your face. Your hands can be placed in a mudra position on your knees, hands on your knees, hands on your thighs, or in your lap, whatever you find most comfortable. And then we will focus on our breathing. So to start out with, here is the morning chant.
Body This is a new day. We vow to go through it in mindfulness. So the sun of insight can rise and shine in every direction. Noble Sangha, diligently bring our minds into meditation. Namo Shakyamunaye Buddhaya. Namo Shakyamunaye Buddhaya. Namo Shakyamunaye Buddhaya.
Power off.
And now we will begin our period of silent meditation. The purpose of our meditation this morning is to learn to center ourselves and to become present in this moment, in this very moment, to live in the here and now, leaving behind the regrets or brooding over the past and getting out of our minds those worries and anxieties about the future, but to live right here and right now in this beautiful moment. One of the best ways that I've found to do that is to focus on my breathing. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in, and breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. I'm breathing every moment of my life. And so when I focus on my breathing, I'm focusing on right here, right now, while it is right here, right now. I think of my mind as the sky, and my past thoughts and future thoughts which will eventually come into my mind. They always do. They're like the clouds in the sky. I know that when I'm out in the yard enjoying the warmth of the sun and the panting breath of the breeze, and a cloud suddenly enters the picture and obstructs the rays and the heat of the sun, Sometimes I'm a little irritated and I want to push that cloud out of the way. I've never been able to do that. I don't know anybody who's been able to do that. But what I do is I go back to the task at hand. Whatever it is that I'm doing, I focus on what I'm doing in the yard. And before you know it, I look up and the cloud is gone. I didn't have to push it away. I didn't have to wish it away. All I had to do was focus on what I was doing. And that's what I do when I meditate. I focus on my breath. And when my thought clouds enter the picture, I am gentle with myself and kind with myself, and I don't try to fight those thoughts. Anytime I've thought about fighting them and tried to fight them, they stayed even more. But I find if, just like when I'm out in the yard focusing on what I'm doing, when I focus on the breath during my meditation, I focus on the breath, breathing in and breathing out. Before I know it, the clouds of thought are out of my head, and I'm back in the present moment. So focus on your breath. For some, it may be at the base of the nostrils, feeling the cool air entering in and the warm air exiting as you breathe. For some, it is in the rise and fall of the belly, or the expansion and contraction of the chest, wherever you feel the breath most easily. Place your focus there. And when the thoughts come in, return to the breath. Return your focus to breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. In, out. Enjoy. As I focus on my breathing, I try to make sure that it is not contrived, that it is not forced. I'm not purposefully raising the speed of my breath or slowing it down. I'm not purposely breathing in deeply or out deeply or shallow. I just am aware of the breath as it is. But I do notice as I observe my breath that as I breathe in, my breath is becoming deeper. As I breathe out, my breath is becoming slower. In, deep. Out, slow. Deep, slow. In, out. Enjoy. continuing to follow my breath, I notice that as I breathe, my body is calm. My mind is at ease. Breathing in, calm. Breathing out, ease. Calm, ease. Deep, slow. In, out. Enjoy. Breathing in, I now notice that a smile is born on my lips. Breathing out, I release everything. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, release. Smile, release. Calm, ease. Deep, slow. In, out. Enjoy. Breathing in, I know that I have arrived. Breathing out, I know that I am home. Breathing in, arrived. Breathing out, home. Arrived, home. Smile, release. Calm, ease. Deep, slow. In, out. Enjoy. present moment, wonderful moment, arrived, home, smile, release, calm, ease, deep, slow, in, out, enjoy. At the sound of the next bell, we will move away from our focus on the breath and body and return to our present surroundings. And then we bow in gratitude for each of us being in the present moment and to be present in this moment, even in spirit. And at the sound of the next bell, you can take a little stretch. And now we'll take a little trip outside and we'll do a compassion meditation out on the meditation deck. And as we do that, as I'm setting up, Tim will tell you just a few words about how this building came to be.
Well, the site where we have the med shed now used to be where my grandfather had a turkey shed. Actually, about 70 years ago, that turkey shed was located about 100 feet from here, perhaps 100 feet. And then in the early 1970s, my grandfather and a friend of his threw a chain around the old turkey shed and dragged it over to its present location and poured a concrete foundation underneath it. They did that, or my grandfather wanted it done, I should say, because he had an iris garden here and an even larger vegetable garden right next to it. And he was able to keep his fertilizer and his tools and that sort of stuff in the old turkey shed. After he died, the iris garden went away, of course, and nature reclaimed, and a lot of trees grew up, and it became sort of a grove. Same thing with the vegetable garden. And the turkey shed began to rot a few years ago when Tony decided that he wanted to have some kind of a meditation room. He decided this is where it would be, and Tony cleared out the grove of all the briars and vines, and we tore down the old turkey shed and built this we call the meditation shed in its place. That's how it came to be.
Thank you. And now we're going to, before we start our compassion meditation, I want to read some words that were sent to me by my master teacher, Terry Cortez Vega. These were words that were written by two people. Their names are, let's see here, Kitty O'Meara and Louise Dunlap. These are their words. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people's hearts awakened to those with no homes for refuge or food to outlast the crisis, to those who lost their paychecks or were stuck in refugee camps or crowded prisons or had been seen as lesser than. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. And so as we begin our compassion meditation, I would like to start with this Gatha. Listening to the bell, I feel my afflictions begin to dissolve. My mind is calm, my body relaxed, a smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of this bell, my breathing guides me back to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of my heart, the flower of peace blooms beautifully. And so we sit. Listen to the sound that brings us back to our true and wonderful selves. Continue to make sure you are sitting comfortably, spine erect but not stiff or contrived, shoulders relaxed, hands in a comfortable position. Notice any tension in the body and try to relieve that tension. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. In, out. And as our breathing begins to settle, I would like for us to focus our minds first the sorrow that exists in this world. Breathe in the sorrow. But I also want you to focus on the compassion for that sorrow. So as you breathe out compassion for the sorrow of the world. Breathing in the sorrow. Breathing out compassion. When I imagine the sorrow of this world, I think of it as being dark, heavy, hot. So breathe in the dark, hot, fiery sorrow of the world. And when I think of compassion, I think of cool, soothing, and refreshing and calm. And so when you breathe out that cool, refreshing, soothing compassion for the sorrow of the world. Breathing in the sorrow, breathing out the compassion. Sorrow, compassion. Prepare your hearts and minds with the intention of relieving sorrow and bestowing compassion, sending out waves of compassion. And we start with ourselves. Each one of us experiences our own suffering. Each one of us desires to be felt and met with compassion and mercy and joy. And so as you focus on the breath, also focus on these phrases, sending waves of compassion to yourself first. May I learn to care about suffering and confusion. May I respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May I be free from suffering. May I be filled with compassion. As you repeat these phrases, notice the breath and body sensations as you repeat them. Notice where the mind goes. Allow your breath and body to relax into the reverberations of each phrase. May I learn to care about suffering and confusion. May I respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May I be free from suffering. May I be filled with compassion. Now return back to the focus on breath and body. And as you do so, I want you to think of someone in your life for whom it has been beneficial for you to know. Someone you love, someone it is easy to love. Someone who has loved you greatly and shown you great compassion themselves. Your benefactor has a desire to be free from pain and suffering and to be filled with compassion, just like you. And so with this benefactor in mind, offer them these same comforting phrases that you offer to yourself. May you learn to care about suffering and confusion. May you respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May you be free from suffering. May you be filled with compassion. Now return your focus to breath and body again. This time I want you to think of people who are very close to you, friends and family, people you love, people who sometimes you may have some difficulty, but for the most part you love them and they love you. People for whom it is easy to send waves of compassion and mercy and love. And so with these people in mind, offer the same phrases you offered your benefactor and to yourself. May you learn to care about suffering and confusion. May you respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May you be free from suffering. May you be filled with compassion. Return your focus back to breath and body. And think of someone neutral in your life, someone you've neither grown to love nor hate. It could be someone you just met in passing. The grocery store clerk who waited on you. The person you said hello to as you walked down the sidewalk. all people have that universal desire for freedom of pain and suffering, and to be filled with compassion and love. And so, with this neutral person in mind, offer them the same phrases that you offered to people you love, that you offered to yourself. May you learn to care about suffering and confusion. May you respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May you be free from suffering. May you be filled with compassion. Return to breath and body. We come to the more difficult part of this sitting, because now I want you to bring to your attention a person or persons who have caused suffering in your life, or who have caused suffering to those you love. Take a couple of deep centering breaths if you need to. Sometimes it is our inclination to return tit for tat. But when we look at people who are causing suffering as people who are suffering themselves, it becomes a little bit easier to understand them. And in understanding them, we can offer them compassionate phrases. As we breathe, think of the difficult people in your lives. People that you may even have grown to hate, who have become your enemies. Breathe in the pain that closes the hearts of your enemies. Breathe out the compassion that heals the wounds that cause the unskillful actions of your enemies. Breathe in their pain and suffering. Breathe out compassion and mercy and forgiveness. They are just like the rest of us. They too possess that universal desire to be free from pain and suffering and to experience compassion and love and kindness. So with that difficult person in mind, offer the same phrases that you offered to those you love. May you learn to care about suffering and confusion. May you respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May you be free from suffering. May you be filled with compassion. From there, let us expand our circle to include those who are in our Sangha. To those of you who are watching right now, or who will watch in the future, we are really not separate by distance or by time. We are connected. And so for those who are a part of our Sangha, and those of you who are not but are watching, who are interested, we expand and send waves of compassion to you, and even further to our communities, to our state, to our nation. To this world. Imagine a world filled with compassion, all beings filled with compassion. Those in the north and the south and the east and the west. Those who are above, those who are below, those who are seen and those who are unseen. Those whose voices we hear and those whose voices are never heard. To those who are marginalized. To those who are free. To those who are captive. Either in small prison cells or in cages on the border. Those who are being born. Those who are dying. All beings have the universal desire to be free from pain and suffering and to be filled with love and kindness and compassion and mercy. And so with all beings in the cosmos, in your heart and mind, offer to them the same phrases we offer to others. May all beings learn to care about suffering and confusion. May all beings respond with mercy and empathy to pain. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be filled with compassion. The next sound of the bell, we will return to the sensations of our current surroundings. And then let us bow in gratitude for having sat together. this has been a blessing for me to be able to do this, to serve my Sangha and to serve you in this way. And I hope that you have received as much from this as I have. So we will close first by standing, if you are able, and we will face one another in spirit. And at the sound of the bell, we will bow to one another in gratitude for having sat together. And then if you have an altar near you, turn towards your altar. If you don't, you can just look at the screen. And at the sound of the bell, what we will do is we will bow to those who are our teachers. Buddha, Jesus, our master teachers, our mentors, our pastors, all those who in our lives have brought wisdom and understanding to our minds and to our hearts. We bow to our teachers. And then let's turn and face the cosmos. And as we consider all beings in existence, those sentient and not, let us close with these words. With every breath we take, let us take it with a grateful heart and be awake. And every step we take, let us take with a loving heart so that we may see with eyes of love into the hearts of all we meet, to ease their burdens when we can and to greet them with a smile of love and kindness and mercy and compassion, forgiveness, generosity, and peace. For as our teacher Tai says, we are all leaves of one tree. We are all waves of one sea. We are all stars of one sky. Now is the time for all of us to live as one. We bow to the universe. And so now as we leave each other in spirit, let us go and have a blessed day. I love you. May you be blessed, and may you be a blessing to others.